from the front of stage, we have Manchester-based musician Kieran Dobson. His music provides a playful contrast between the ordinary and extraordinary, underpinned by finely tuned, narratively driven lyricism.
Since his first release, Psycho, in 2017, his music has evolved to fuse an eclectic whirlwind of sound. He released his latest song in January called Divided, and we cannot wait to find out more about him and his music journey so far. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're really glad to have you here. So do you want to give us a little bit of a background about you?
Well, my name's Kieran. So I've been sort of making and performing music for around 5 years, something like that. My first single was in 2017 called Psycho, which is a bit more sort of indie pop, and then I went to university up in Manchester and started hanging around with a lot of people who had listened to so much interesting music, and I got introduced to the likes of sort of Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen and Tom Waits and things like that, and that just kind of fueled this kind of desire to find new and interesting music, and so that's inspired lots of different stuff that I've been writing recently. I haven't been releasing as much as I'd like, because as I perform as a solo artist, it's quite difficult to retain a band because it's not like I can pay anybody. If I'm getting 30 quid for a gig, you share that between 5 people, and that's gone. So it's been chop and change and lots of sort of start stops along the way, but I've just carry on writing new music and can't wait to get out there and perform it again.
Oh, great. Yeah, I bet it's super hard at the minute not being able to go out and gig and do what you'd usually be able to do. So going way back, what was it that made you want to really go down the music route and get started?
I guess not much makes me that happy apart from that, to be honest. Happy's the wrong word. A lot makes me happy. I like, I love food, I love football and all sorts of things. But it's the most fulfilling thing for me. It's one of the few things in life where I feel like I can not necessarily make a difference in the sense to other people. That'd be nice in an ideal world, but definitely to myself, it feels like it's something worthwhile, and it gives me pleasure and pride, and it drives me to continue to motivate myself to be a better musician, a better person, and understand things on a wider breadth, I guess.
I like that. So who would you say that your main music influences are and have been?
Well, it probably started off when I was much younger, sort of 12, 13. I used to really like bands like My Chemical Romance and things like that. I know that they're kind of tired of that brush nowadays, that it's not really as edgy or cool anymore as it used to be 10, 12 years ago. I think they're great, and I still think they're really good. I just love the sort of theatrics of it, and the sort of I don't know, the self-pitying element of it is quite amusing, actually, and that was very good. So I guess I got into music via sort of emo-y sort of stuff, and from there it became, from liking self-deprecating things, I discovered things like Morrissey and the Smiths, and they became a big influencer for a while. I do find it quite difficult to listen to nowadays because he's just a fat old racist. So that's a bit tough, but nowadays my sort of musical inspiration is very much driven by maybe sort of less so musicians and more sort of storytellers and songwriters being their main sort of attributes. So people like, as mentioned earlier, Nick Cave and Tom Waits, they're proper storytellers, and they can properly spin a yarn, and that. So it's more of a lyrical journey, and not necessarily the most impressive vocal range at times, specifically for like Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen, but lyrically it's certainly a journey you go on with the artist, and that's something that gives me it really excites me to listen to.
Oh, that sounds great. So you're saying that you studied at BIMM. Was that in London or Manchester?
Both, actually. I started off out in London and found it a little bit difficult, drinking a lot and stuff like that, and a flat on my own, and there was another guy who lived with me, but we were sort of on and off with each other. It was a bit difficult, and I think London's a hard place to go to and just sort of be thrown into that world, and
Right.
you know, the halls in London are impossible unless you've got a fair bit of money behind you, or you've got some savings or something like that, because, you know, the halls are much more expensive than the flats. So it was a bit alienating down there. And, you know, I was working pretty much full time as well.
Yeah.
So it just got me down. But, you know, as soon as I came to Manchester and met a fantastic bunch of people, you know, the people I met at university were some of the most talented people I've ever met in my entire life. I think I spent most of my time at university quite jealous and trying to be quite cool, and very unsuccessfully. But yeah, I studied in Manchester. It was, you know, as I say, it was a good experience, and there's fantastic people there, and some great lecturers. You know, there's people like Mal Campbell. He's a really, really great guy, and Steve Trafford as well.
So would you recommend kind of studying at BIMM? Just because we have some new and aspiring artists that sometimes watch this, so it's really great to kind of get, you know, your opinion, who's been through it.
Well, I definitely think that BIMM provides a fantastic platform for people of like-minded nature to connect with one another. I had some difficulties at BIMM with some of the lectures and things like that, but I'm probably was a little bit more naive then as well, so I probably took it for granted, to be honest with you. So at the time I sort of felt, oh god, I shouldn't be doing this, you know, I should be doing, like, you know, writing and stuff like that. But realistically, if I'd have knuckled down more, I'm sure I would have got the benefit from it more. But in terms of, you know, what it offers as a platform, I would recommend any musicians to do it, to be fair, because, you know, being thrown together with people who are into music or into different areas of music, you know, not just writing, you know, production, music business side of things, journalism, all these people are sort of thrust into an environment where they can, it's almost like I don't know, like a playground or a jungle gym where you just throw small adults into to play. You know what I mean? It's great. You know, it's a great platform, and yeah, I definitely recommend people thinking about going to university to give them a go for sure.
Yeah, it looks like a cool place. Like, if I had any musical talents, like, I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as I say, you know, the people who go there are there to not necessarily learn all from the lecturers, even, you know, learning through each other and building. You know, when I was there were a couple of bands, you know, like Crimsons were one of them, you know, just sort of trying to push each other to help each other out, you know what I mean? And you play different people's bands for bits, and they're playing yours, and get each other on gigs, lots of stuff like that. So it's quite a community, you know, that can be built there. As I said, you know, I've graduated a few years back, but there's certainly a community that can be built there, and yeah, aspiring musicians, I definitely recommend.
Yeah, I think it's good because you're all there for the same thing, like, because obviously it's all music based. I bet it's a great environment.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's it's quite a rare thing, really, because I think quite a lot of the sort of, you think of that, like Royal Northern and places like that, and all these other establishments, I think they're quite heavily sort of theory based and require quite high grades and things like that to get into them, and sort of especially musical grades, whereas BIMM offers a platform for sort of not necessarily DIY musicians, but people who maybe don't have classical training at things and not necessarily interested in that side of things. They want to write, you know, electronic music, or they want to write an indie record. You know, it gives them the opportunity to get into a music establishment and you know, get a degree and meet fantastic people.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really valuable information for people who are considering that, because we've had a few people ask us, haven't we? But obviously we've not studied there ourselves, so it's good to get kind of an insider's perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So really, really love Manchester. It's like our favourite city. But obviously London wasn't for you, but what is it that made you want to go to Manchester out of anywhere else?
It's a tough one, really. I mean, my dad's side of my family are from Liverpool, so I guess I always wanted to come to the northwest and be a part of that. And going back to the idea of grades and not having musical grades, there was some place in Liverpool that I didn't necessarily have the classical training for, and, you know, being Manchester just seems. I didn't pick the city as such. You know, I knew that I wanted to come to this area of England. I wanted to be in the northwest, but it wasn't the city that. I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan, so, you know, I'm living in foreign territory in Manchester, really. So it's yeah, I think it was just specifically to come to university here, and what BIMM offers as a course drove me to sort of come here, and I've never looked back. You know, it's very much my home now, and it'd be very difficult to leave here.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that you've had previous band members and then now you're solo. So how was it being in a band, and what kind of made you want to go solo?
Well, I sort of started off in a band environment, and then it was like Kieran, Dobson, and for a few times, and you know, and then started off calling my band Kelly's Heroes, and it just, because it's so choppy and changey, and university is, not only fall out with people, you drift from people, and music now has to be a job as well. It definitely should be fun, but realistically it's another form of employment, and you have to work really hard at it, because I work full time, and you know, it's very difficult, it's very hard, it's very grueling, to be able to fit those two in. So it just made sense for it to be mine, and it's probably a little bit selfish, and that's fine, I can live with that. But it's just keeping it, you know, I write everything pretty much. I do have people who come in and, you know, perhaps, you know, got my bassist Doug might write a bass line, or one of my guitarists, like Faisal's played me previously, might write a riff or something, but predominantly the bare bones structure and lyrics were always mine. And it just felt, if other people left, I would want to carry on with those songs. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if the band went, it would feel a little bit wrong to just sort of take it from them. But when they come in the understanding that it is my sort of project, and they're almost helping me out, and hopefully somewhere down the line it will become successful, and they'll, you know, make some money from it, or they'll get some fulfillment out of it. But, you know, just it's coming in to sort of help out on my project, I guess, and it just makes me feel more comfortable that I can carry on with the music afterwards if they do leave.
At least you've got like full control over this, when you can kind of guide it however you want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like so, you know, sometimes in practice or live gigs, like a really shite conductor, you know, I'm just sort of you know, like telling people I want to play aggressive on the drums and stuff like that, or trying to quieten people down and things. So yeah, it's nice to be the sort of lead sort of composer and keep it as mine, and keep in the direction I want it to go, because it gives me freedom to just move about and do whatever I want to do as well.
Yeah, I can imagine it being quite difficult in a band, because you've got to make everyone happy, not just about you.
Yeah, I think you have to choose a direction as well. You have to really, I mean, this is probably why I did, you know, not exactly follows a pattern with my music. You know, sometimes I listen to a load of Tom Waits records, I think, God, I'd love to write a piano ballad one day. And you know, that was probably quite difficult in an indie pop band or something like that, or a, you know, punk or grunge band. You don't think you could sort of turn around and say, I'm just going to stick on it for the piano for this one. Do you guys mind? Yeah, so yeah, it's quite nice.
So you've released a new single last month called Divided. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I essentially booked some studio time, and we didn't know what we were going to do. I think we were going to do a different song actually, and I'd just come up with this little, it's the opening guitar sequence that you hear. I sort of just come up with that out of the blue. I was like, oh, I really like that actually, and I just kind of started working on it. And then me former piano player and synth player Jenny came up with this fantastic little bit on the synthesizer arpeggiated part, and it just all really fell into place. And it was it's just a track about sort of divisions within all forms of, you know, society and relationships. It's just a bit of a moan. It's, you know, I wish it was, sometimes some songs do have much, you know, deeper and meaning to things, but it is just a track about sort of divisions between relationships and all forms of communication with everybody. You know, there's aspects of social media and things like that in there as well. And yeah, it's one of those where it's almost like, it's quite gloomy, but you can still dance to it, and that's always what I try to do quite a lot. Especially if it's like a kind of singly track, I definitely want people to still be able to like have a little dance to it and have some energy to it. So, you know, a bit gloomy, but it's yeah, you definitely shake your lips to it for a bit.
Did you write this during lockdown, or?
No, it was actually written pre-lockdown. Someone said to me it was actually it's quite poignant, you know, because this was because it does sound, you know, like it was written to be do with the lockdown or the pandemic side of things. But it was actually written out and recorded beforehand. I've just been sat on it for a while. I was going to release it a while ago, but then the world sort of turned upside down. So I was like, well, should I release it? Is there any point? I can't gig it. And that's the way that I'd normally advertise things, by performing and telling people about it there. I'm not too savvy with the whole social media side of things personally. But you know, I've been sat on it for nearly a year or so. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to get this out there, and if people listen to it, they do, and if they don't, they don't. And you know, just hope that people can enjoy it.
So how have you been kind of coping throughout these times? Because you mentioned obviously you're not too savvy with social media and gigging, something that you like to do often. And have you been doing any live streaming or considering any of that side of things? Or have you been writing songs, or what have you been up to?
I've been writing, yeah, definitely. As I said before about sort of getting a bit piano ballady, I've been definitely writing some sort of slow, just I don't know, just like pleasant piano ballads. To be honest with you, nothing too intense. I mean, I've written a lot of sort of and performed a lot of intense music in my life, quite shouty stuff at times. So been enjoying trying to write some more bluesier, sort of piano-driven songs, which has been nice. And also just getting through this lockdown, and been cooking a lot actually. You know, I've been really, I think everyone's been cooking a lot. You know, like every meal takes me about 3.5 hours to make, because I've got some mad recipe from somewhere or other. And I've also, I seem to have slipped through a time warp back to the 1970s, because, you know, I found myself going to the butchers, the greengrocers, and the cheesemongers, which is really odd. I've never done that in my life, you know, like, so it's good though, you know, it's something I would never have done before.
Yeah, I think that is a positive about this time. Like, so many people are doing things that you never normally even think about doing, and like appreciating little things. Like walks is like the highlight of everyone's days at the minute, or like cooking a nice meal.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I didn't pre-lockdown. I've been to a butcher's or a cheesemongers in my life, but it's great. A, to support independent businesses, and B, to do things that you wouldn't have done before. I mean, you say about walking. I mean, I live in Chiltern in Manchester, and you know, I've never really appreciated the beauty of Chiltern. You know, you can walk down the River Mersey by Chiltern Water Park, and that goes all the way up to Didsbury to the Fletcher Moss Botanical Gardens, and you know, it's about 10 miles or something there and back. But you know, you get a coffee there, and you know, it's just great. It's beautiful, and you know, it's something that I've taken for granted. So most of the pandemic has given negative connotations, obviously, but there are still some things that, you know, I think we do appreciate more now, which is nice.
Definitely, and I hope we all kind of hold on to this mindset when life gets back to normal, and just remember all the little things.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, we'll probably all just be in the pub, and all our livers are going to collapse by the time we're 35.
Probably.
So we love asking people this question because we love to know like what's helped them through their whole journey. But what is the best piece of advice that you've been given within your music career?
Oh, I don't know really. Something that Mal said to me, who works at BIMM, you know, to always try to have, you know, a sort of a talking point, a point of difference. You know, always try to have at least one sort of thing, especially in like stage performances and things like that, which are different to everyone else. You know, be creative, think about what can I do that is different. It doesn't have to be in the music, because everything's been done before in music. So you definitely have to reinvent things. But you know, in your live performance, can you do something, or are you confident enough to do something that nobody else does, to keep an audience, you know, engaged and or even confused? You know, and any advice that I would give is just touching on what I said earlier. Just, you know, remember that it should be a job. At the end of the day, you can have fun, and you know, you might engage with more nefarious elements in life, which seem to go with music. But the most important thing is to, you know, not to try to drink too much, not to do anything else too much, and just remember that this is a chance of a lifetime. And you know, if you don't treat it like a 9-to-5 full-time job, then you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because I can imagine it's very easy to kind of get lost, you know, into the kind of party life, musician crazy life. Like, yeah, it's very
Definitely, you know,
honest.
it's when I was at university, all I'd sort of did was stay out and drink, and you know, be out till 5 every night after a gig, and party afterwards and stuff like that. And that is good fun, and you should definitely do that in moderation. But and another bit of advice I'd give is networking is the most important thing you can do, and love your audience as much as they love you. If someone's paid £5 or even £2 to come see your show, have a beer with them afterwards and find out what they do, what they're into, and those fans will become friends, and they'll tell their friends, and they'll tell their friends. So if you give everyone the respect that they give you by coming to see you, hopefully they'll keep coming back. But yeah, definitely always have a party and stuff like that. But it's just doing it in moderation and trying your best to realise that this is work, and there will be a time for partying and celebrating. But
balance key, definitely. So let's reminisce about the good old days when you was out gigging, living your best life. What venues did you play in? What were like your favourite venues in Manchester that you used to play in?
Favourite venue. Love playing at the Castle Hotel. It's dead sweaty, half the time my band didn't fit on the stage, so I normally had to sort of stand within the crowd and sing. So that's great, and they serve Titanic plum porter, which is a fantastic pint. Yeah, really good. Crimson's, that was a great venue, but that's gone now, unfortunately. Just over the road, Gulliver's, dead good as well. A bit bigger, nice raised stage, great sound. The sound guys there and at Castle are really cracking. And another favourite, I'll put one more in there, will probably be the Eagle Inn in Salford.
Okay.
Similar to the Castle in this sort of capacity, but it's got the raised stage there, similar to Gulliver's, so it's kind of the best of both worlds, really. Yeah, really great venue, great atmosphere, great vibes all around.
Oh, so great.
So is there a best gig that you've done? Like one that sticks in your head?
God, I can't remember half of them. I love my first one very much. Not my first ever gig as such, but maybe my first gig in Manchester as a sort of, I'll call it more of a unit. It was a solid, 4 or 5 of us. That was at Gulliver's, supporting Crimson's on their Idleways single launch, and I think it might have been on Halloween actually. So there was a lot of people dressed up and having a good time, and my mate Sally went with, and my bassist Doug went, and they went as Florence in the Machine. So she was dressed as Florence and he was dressed as a washing machine. Just little things like that, and we all drank afterwards. So I think a lot of people say maybe bigger gigs would be their favourite sort of when they were headlining, but that was it's less to worry about when you're just sort of supporting someone. You just do your bit and hope you can do your best, and the atmosphere was great, everyone enjoyed it, and it gave me the sort of confidence to carry on and keep giving it a go.
Sounds great. So let's hope. We like asking people this too, and I've got a feeling that you're going to have some great stories for us. We want to know, have you got any funny stories that you can share? Like, have you had any crazy fans or fell off a stage or anything?
As I say, some of them are just a bit blurry. Like, I can't. I mean, some of the gigs I've watched back and I've been that hammered that I listen back to it on YouTube, whatever. So I was like, oh my god, is that me? Is that me singing?
Who is that?
Yeah, because like half the time that the sound, you never get quite how you want it, and I'm just sort of screaming, just bellowing, and I'm just like, oh my god, like if I could just go back and just like take away like 2 whiskies and 3 pints of Guinness, like it would have been such a better gig. But I mean, there's sort of funny stories. Not particularly, because everybody takes it quite seriously. All the funny stuff happens afterwards, and I feel I'd be doing an injustice if I told too many things. But just in terms of the actual gigs, I mean, I think my guitar's not been plugged in for 20 minutes of set before, and I've not noticed. I've just been strumming away.
Or how did you figure it out?
I tripped over my lead, which was on the floor. So yeah, it was that's kind of funny, because quite a lot of the songs when I'm playing guitar, I'm just sort of playing chords for, really. So, there's already a bass giving the backbone of it, but it's just a little bit more on top of it. So I'm just sort of, going away, playing chords nicely. And then I just realised I haven't heard myself for about 15 minutes and then tripped over the guitar lead. So,
Oh no.
that's what I said earlier, try not to, go too mad at your gigs, because the amount of times when I've just thought it's almost like a night out before you've done the gig, and it's just like, oh, this is a big night with all your mates and things like that. So you get really into it, and then I think it's all right for some other musicians. Some people can definitely pull it off, but especially when you're singing, it's quite difficult. So.
Do you think that's something that you're gonna kind of stop doing when you can gig again? Are you going to try to be more conscious to not drink too much, or?
Well, I've stopped doing it, over the last 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years, ever since I turned sort of, I don't know, like 23 or whatever. Well, ever since I left uni, really, actually, I stopped doing that, just because it's just unprofessional, and it can go wrong so quickly. So I have stopped that a while ago. Nowadays I just give myself a little whiskey for the confidence, and I'm good to go.
Had your rock and roll days.
Yeah.
Rock and roll day. You know what I mean? I bought a soup pot, and I drink tea very, very regularly, and I spend 3 hours on a meal. I'm a great housewife at the moment,
You sound like you've really matured over the years.
I'm just, I've just gotten so dull. No, I just don't think. I just think, with lockdown and things like that, it just gives you perspective of what's important in life. Family, friends, relationships. That's all you really have at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. So you seem to have had some good experience and opportunities so far within your music career. What would you say has been your top achievement?
Top achievement? I'm not too sure, really. I mean, I really enjoyed my very first single launch. We sold out Jimmy's in I think that's closed down now as well. Everything's going.
We learned about that the other day.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to be opening up in Ancoats, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I don't think they.
I don't know what happened there.
No.
I know they got one in Liverpool still. But yeah, we sold out Jimmy's, and I think we sold it out over capacity, to be honest with you. It was just people sort of like.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was everyone crammed in together. So yeah, that was probably my favourite one, because it was my first single as well. So to sell it out, and we had a great guy working with us as well called Luke Coombe, who was doing his own promotions company. He really helped us out a lot and sort of pushed us forward. And we had a band called Gathering of Strangers support us, who were doing really well now. Obviously because they supported me. That's not really the case. But I wish that was true. But no, they're a great bunch of lads as well, and they're doing very well. So yeah, that was probably my highlight, just because it was the first sort of touch of feeling like it's going somewhere successful.
Yeah, I can imagine that being a great feeling, like selling out all the tickets, definitely.
So it was a proper rush, and
yeah. So what are your long-term goals in 5 years' time? Kind of long-term goals. In 5 years' time, when COVID isn't here and everything's back to normal, where can you see yourself, or where do you hope to be?
Still alive.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd like to see myself being very happy, and whatever capacity that may be. In an ideal world, I'd like to play music for a living, however that may be, if that's writing and performing, or if it's just writing for films or games or TV, anything like that. I would love to perform or write music full time. I think it's every musician's dream, really. It always seems quite unattainable at times, because there's so much competition out there, and it's not like you can just sort of pick up a guitar and do it nowadays. You have to be an entrepreneur, really, and you have to be quite savvy and business minded as well, unless you're very lucky and you just get picked up at a gig by A&R from a company. So you do have to really push yourself and be a business entity as well as a performer. So it's very difficult, but fingers crossed. I'll keep plugging away to keep releasing music, and just not caring what anyone else thinks about it, and just trying your best and having the confidence to believe in yourself.
think that is key, isn't it? Like confidence and not caring.
Yeah.
Like literally, just keep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's hard to have faith in yourself constantly. I think everyone struggles with it to some capacity, but especially in the music business where everyone judges you and you're there to be judged, and you're sort of, I don't know, it's almost like walking around naked. It's you're there to be judged and viewed by other people, so you get that validation from other people. So it's important to get it from yourself as much as you can, and not seek it by looking at your streams or looking at how other people are doing. I mean, look at how other people are doing to help your own career, but I wouldn't yield over those sorts of things. Yeah,
Definitely.
Next up, we have Kieran singing an acoustic version of his new track, Divided.
We're all in here and we're here tonight, derided, divided and contagious of fright. The danger of opinion, thinking you're right. We masquerade behind paper pulpit lines. We'll do our lives, focus on what's ahead, never look behind, always going blind. But the show goes on and on, on and 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 on and on, on. We're all divided, we're all divided internally. We're all divided, we're all divided externally. The age of lunacy, cosmopolitan hypocrisy, blue dreams of connectivity, boost your dopamine, scoop your brains up and pour out your idiocy. But the line goes on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on, on. We're all divided, we're all divided internally. We're all divided, I'm still divided existentially. And my moral overdraft is running out. And my moral overdraft is running out.
We're going to move on to like a quick question time that we have. So we're just going to throw some questions at you quickly. And then you just answer them, just to get to know you a little bit better. They're just dead fun, easy questions.
sounds good.
Okay, right. So scrambled or fried eggs?
Fries, definitely, every time.
Run incredibly fast or jump incredibly high?
Ooh, I'd have to say run incredibly fast, because then I could just do whatever I wanted and get away with it and just run.
Yeah, you could travel around like everywhere dead quickly.
Oh yeah, no, but borders would not be an issue.
Yeah.
Eat out or order in?
Ooh, that's tough, because it depends on the company completely. I'd say order in because I like snuggling my partner under a blanket with, the telly on and that.
Mhm.
But I'm saying that because what we do every Friday night at the moment, they're some of my favourite days. So maybe in a post-COVID world, I might have to say eat it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. So festival or a rave?
Oh God. I'll say festival because I just there's more variety there.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favourite cinema snack? Cinnamon.
Oh God. I mean, I'd say popcorn, but there's this 3 for $10 deal that I think it's either the Odeon or you do it. It's class. You get popcorn, massive Coke, and I normally get a hot dog on nachos as well. So I hope Odeon or you are watching this and they'll give me a paid sort of sponsorship for this now. But popcorn, the favourite, definitely.
Oh, do you know what I really missed? Do you know the cheese sauce that you have at is it the Odeon where they have that really nice cheese sauce with the nachos?
Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, it's so grim, but it's so good.
Yeah. It's a bit spicy, isn't it? I think they put the sauce on what are they called? Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sauce in it. Oh God, I need some. Anyway. Fries on. What was that? Sorry.
I was just saying, it's so good. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
This is another food question. Honestly, I'm hungry. Fries or onion rings?
Oh, fries.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, I'm a night owl. I hate the mornings. I don't wake up until. Well, I start work at 9 o'clock, and I'm probably a fully functioning adult by about 11:30 or 12.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Your most used emoji?
Oh God. I've never even thought about that one. What a question. Probably the little alien thing, the purple one with the little ears like that.
Really?
Yeah, I use it all the time. Well, I just say it all the time, just slightly mischievous. It's just, it's great.
You okay? Yeah, alien emoji.
Well, maybe I don't use emojis that much. Maybe that's why. So it just comes out under special circumstances.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's different. Better than a standard smiley face.
Yeah,
Jaeger or tequila?
Can I say neither? If someone put a gun to my head, I'd have to say, Jaeger, but I'd rather not drink either of them, personally.
Shots.
Well, I'm not really like a shot sort of guy, really. I mean, I'd have a whiskey, but I'd, sip it and enjoy it. But it depends what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to get absolutely annihilated, then yeah, probably.
But
I tend to drink to enjoy it.
And what's your favourite movie?
Oh God, these are tough questions.
Get you out.
I mean, I love Star Wars, but I think my favourite film of all time is Rushmore. It's a Wes Anderson film with Bill Murray and Jason Schwartzman. It's really, really good.
Sounds good. I've not heard of it. We're rubbish at movies, aren't we? We always just nod our head at this part, yeah, wow.
I do go Google afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, Wes Anderson's a really good director. He's the guy who did his most famous ones. Do you know Grand Budapest Hotel? He did the fantastic Mr. Fox film.
You did what?
He did the fantastic Mr. Fox film.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Got George Clooney in it. Yeah, he's a great director. Anyway, you should check him out.
Yeah, I definitely will. Well, that is the end of it all. So thanks so much for that. It's been really great chatting to you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've had a lovely time, and thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for watching In Conversation with Front of Stage. We've been speaking to Kieran Dobson.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for your time, guys.
No worries. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.